Nice one. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the RGM Experience podcast with me, Carl Maloney. How are you doing? You all right? Today, ladies and gentlemen, we delve into the grassroots music industry and beyond sometimes as well. But today, we've got a brand new guest from across the pond, from Dallas, Texas, I believe, and he's called Ali. Yeah. Hi, mate.
Yeah. How are you guys?
Yeah, fine, thanks, pal. Fine, thanks, mate. Thanks for joining us. So Ali, what's Dallas like? Talk me through what it's like growing up and being in and around a big city from Dallas. I've only known it from being a kid and seeing that TV program and seeing all the skyscrapers and stuff. But tell me what it's really like.
Yeah, so I actually am not from Dallas. I'm actually from Missouri.
Oh, okay.
So I grew up in a really, really small town. It was way different than Dallas, very rural. Like it was called St. Joe. And so I lived there up until I was like 13, 14, and then I came to Dallas. That was quite a drastic change. But obviously Dallas is like, if Missouri was on one end, Dallas was on a completely other end. Like it was two different ends of the spectrum. But Dallas is really nice. At first, when I came here, it took a really long time for me to adjust just because of how big of a difference it was, and I was not used to that at all. But it's been like 7 years since I've been here, and I love it. It's there's so much to do, and I have great people around me. I have really good company. So I'm really happy now. But it's a really nice city. Like there's always things to do, lots of places to see. But yeah, no, I've been here for some time now, but I always call Missouri my home, though. That's my real home.
So what's Missouri like? Missouri? I can't say it.
What's the what like?
What's your hometown like? Is it like a sleepy?
It was nothing like Dallas. It was very small. Had a couple restaurants. Lots of open land. Just everyone kind of knew each other. It was like that kind of town. It was not like this really big community of people. The real big city, I don't know if you've heard of Kansas City, Missouri, like where the Chiefs are from, one of the football teams, but that was like the major city in Missouri. So that was an hour out. So we were an hour out from even a major city. So St. Joe was like this really small town, and everyone kind of knew each other. And word would get around pretty fast there. But I enjoyed it. I think it was a really good time for me to grow up there. And then I came to Dallas at maybe not the best time, but I think me being older and being in Dallas is much better than if I stayed back there, if that makes sense, and grew up over there. Because I think somewhat of a change was needed to come to a bigger city.
Yeah, no, I can get that. I've moved cities before, and just get yourself out your comfort zone a little bit. It's nice, isn't it? As well? Well, it's not quite nice. It's you're out your comfort zone, but it's rewarding in time. And when you give those things time, it can make a difference in your life, can't it? Experiencing different places in this world.
Yeah, for sure.
I know quite a lot of people that just stay in their own city and they've got no plans of ever moving out of that city. I just think that's a bit of a shame, really.
I'm glad like eventually we got out. I don't know if the time was right personally for me. But like at some point, like I feel like it should have happened anyway. So it happened,
Yeah, so living in a town where everybody knows each other then. So what were you, just a young kid getting into music? Were you like a bit of a weirdo over there type person?
Yeah. Like it was something that I did in a like very low key way. Like it was not something I would talk about at all. I would talk about it here and there with family, but when I was around 11, I remember, and I would just look up YouTube videos all the time. And it's something that I always bring up as like a hobby of mine. I myself, like I was never the kid. I was never the athletic kid. I was never, the kid into doing other like extracurriculars. The funny thing is me and my dad, we weren't athletic at all. Like when we were younger, my dad, even they tell me now that when he was younger, he was not athletic at all. And so I was the same way growing up. So I was, in my little office in my house, and I was going away with music, and I was just making that. And I would talk about it with family here and there, and I don't know
Yeah,
why. There was always this weird thing about music where I'd never wanted to be super open about it.
yeah.
And it was like that up until a few years back. Um, which is really weird. I don't know why, but I finally just kind of come to the point where it's like it is what it is. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna shy away from music. Like it's something really cool that needs to be shared.
Why couldn't you talk about music?
I don't know. It was like almost that I was embarrassed, which I don't like saying
Yeah,
because I don't want to ever be embarrassed of music, especially of this new music that's out. Like it's very much a part of me, and I don't think there should be any embarrassment behind it. It was a lot like, am I gonna sound weird in the mic? Like,
yeah,
are people gonna think my voice sounds like this or like that?
yeah.
But I I've gotten to the point where it's like I don't care anymore, and it
Mm,
is what it is, and I want to share the music at the end of the day.
mm,
Um, but I think that's why it even in Missouri, like I was only doing production. I wasn't even singing at that point. I mean, I
yeah.
was so young, but I was only doing production, and I would just share demos here and there with family, but I was never like talking very openly about it.
What would have happened if you would have talked about music then?
If I had,
Yeah. What were you scared of?
I I don't know. Like it's just I think there was I don't even want to say there was a shame behind it. It was just like, oh, what are people gonna think if uh what if they don't like it, or what if they think I'm weird because I do music? Like it was just purely that. But
Okay. Was it
um
more in your head than probably what?
it was in more in my head than in
Yeah. Okay.
others. Like it
Yeah.
was never something that people would have ever thought twice about. It was
Yeah.
just me.
Oh, yeah. No.
And I've always kind of been like that since I was a kid. So
Yeah. Right. Okay. So why the move to Dallas then? Why the big move? How did that happen and why?
that I mean that completely was out of my hands. It was
Mm,
purely like my family's choice. Um and that's what actually the first song on my album, that's what it talks about. I
mm,
feel like there was not a lack of concern, but in a way just for like how I would feel for it at the end of the day. Um but like I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason. So like I don't hold anyone against it or anything like that, because obviously it happened for a reason, and there's a better plan. Obviously it all worked out in the end too. So um
am I missing something there? But what was the main reason for moving then?
it was we have family here. So
Mm,
my aunt, she's my dad's sister.
mm,
So she's lived here for a really long time, and
right.
she would always try to convince my parents to come over there.
Yeah.
So to here to Dallas. And so eventually one day my parents were ready to make the move and do it. And I was like, I think I was 13
Right.
going 14. It was that very like fragile age, I would say, where
Yeah.
you're starting to feel more complex kind of emotions and stuff, and you're starting to feel more than just am I happy or am I sad, and that
Mm.
kind of thing. So I think moving in combination with that, and moving was not a good combination for me. And
Were you just starting to
it was
build
just,
relationships with friends at school and that kind of stuff? And
yeah, like it was
yeah.
really tough. Like the first year was really hard,
Mm,
and um it's really sad for me to look back on, because I never even said anything either that first couple years about how I felt at all. I actually
mm,
like recently like told my parents like a couple years back, like 2 years back, how I really felt about it.
mm,
But yeah, it makes me sad because I never spoke up about it, which I
mm.
feel like I owed that to myself.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. So was it a difficult thing within the family for the move then? Was it just harder for you and you didn't really talk about it for the
It
first
was
2 years to
mainly
your
just
parents?
harder for me because it
Yeah.
was the way it was I still had middle school left,
Yeah.
and my sister was starting high school. So she whenever she came here, everyone kind of at the high school is already bound to meet new people. So
Mm,
it's already a mix of people who don't really know each other. So
yeah.
it's you're bound to meet someone new anyway. But in my case, I was still in middle school. So at that point in middle school, when you're in seventh grade, people are not gonna want to budge around and try to make new friends, or
Yeah.
someone who's moved from, Missouri, like they have their own friend groups and no
Mm.
one kind of wants to mess around with that. So it was definitely harder for me the first year. Uh, but then the following year when I went
Mm.
to high school, it got much easier. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
definitely tough the first year and a half,
Yeah,
I
I can
would say.
I can imagine changing schools at that kind of age,
Yeah,
and you're in a new city, new place. People
yeah,
have just got different backgrounds. You know, they're from a city, they're not from a small town. They're just different,
yeah,
I suppose.
exactly. Everyone here is from they're from Dallas, they're from this massive town, but then I was
Yeah.
from, Missouri, so
Was it a lot more diverse when you moved to Dallas then as well?
yes, 100%.
Yeah.
The diversity here is much different than in Missouri.
Hmm.
So that's one good thing that I love about Dallas. You can find all
Yeah.
sorts of people and they're all great. So um lots of diverse backgrounds and
Hmm.
different cultures, and it's really nice to see because everyone here gets along really well.
Hmm.
And so there's always something for everyone here.
Right. So you landed in Dallas. A couple of difficult years. When did you start to feel like, yeah, it's all right, this actually? Yeah. When did you start to come
Yeah.
around?
It was around like 2018, 19, like four,
Right.
5, 6 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like a year and a half almost after I moved, I
Hmm.
kind of started finding my people. And then from there, I mean, I was in high school, so
Hmm.
it's and now I'm in college, so it's very different. Like the same friends I have then are not now. There are still
Yeah.
some people, but obviously that evolves and changes as you grow up.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Who
like I
are
started
just
feeling
a
more
quick question there,
comfortable.
mate? Who are your
Yeah.
people? Who are your people? Who are the people that you enjoy having around you? And not
Like
specifically names, just like the type of people, the characters, all that kind of stuff.
yeah, like they were kind of the typical high school kids with, the typical high school activities.
Yeah.
But I would hang out with them a lot. Um, and then you fall out with some people, you continue friendships with some people.
Yeah.
Um, and that just happened all throughout high school. And then when I went into college, I kind of felt like I had to do the process over again was when
Right.
I moved here, because
Mm.
the thing was that the college I was going to, not a lot of my friends were going to that college.
Yeah.
Um, so I kind of had to do the process again, but I felt it was much easier. I had already come out of my shell a little bit since moving
Mm.
here, so it was easier. Um, and it makes it harder for me because I actually, like, I don't like talking to people that much at all. Um, I don't at all. Anytime I have to socialize, my friends get really upset with me because they're like, you need to get out of your comfort zone. But I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to. Like, I'd rather not talk to anyone.
But you're on the
But
telly doing an interview now.
yeah, like
How are you
you.
finding this?
No, no, no. This is okay though. But
Okay.
generally, if I have to go outside and
Okay.
socialize, I wouldn't enjoy it.
Right.
Like, it's
Okay. Fair
something I
enough.
do not like.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
but and then I've met more people in the past couple years outside of college that I'm really close to.
Mm.
So, um, yeah, like it's going good so far.
Yeah. Nice one. Nice one. So you started to find.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you was just starting to find your feet in Dallas then?
I was like 14, 15, and now I'm 20.
Right. Okay. So you're still
Yeah.
very young. I'm 46, mate. I'm one of those right old bastards.
Yeah.
I'm just one of those that have been around a long time and
Yeah.
been there, seen it, done it. But you seem like you've got your head screwed on. You seem mature for your age. You seem like you know what you want. And um, does that feel like I'm describing you well, or?
Yeah, it sounds about right. I hear the same things from other people too.
Okay.
So yeah, but I definitely feel like I've gotten to grow a better sense of myself as I've gotten
Yeah.
older, which obviously happens with age.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like everything feels like right. So
Yeah. So when was the first time that you started to talk about music openly out there in the big old world? And
that was
how did that
that
go?
was yeah, like that was 3 years ago. So I had
Right.
gotten actually I had made 3 albums
Wow.
in 2021. So in 2020 I released my third one, and I had gotten these plaques. I had gotten this specific one.
Oh, nice.
For the third album, it had gotten 150,000 streams.
Wow.
And obviously, when my parents see a giant box showing up at the house, they're going to be like, what is this?
Yeah.
So I was like, at this point, like, I don't think it's something that I should hide anymore. And it's so special. Like, this is something I should be really proud of and that I achieved, especially during a time like quarantine.
Yeah.
I had this big project that I wanted to do. So at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to post about it. And I had a whole separate Instagram for the music, everything that no one knew about. No one was following,
Okay.
not even my family, no one. And, one day I was just like, I'm just going to post on my main Instagram. I'm going to shut down this other one and I'm just going to do it. And so I took a picture with the plaque and I posted it and I was like, it is what it is. And we're just going to see how this goes.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. So 3 albums in a year.
3 albums in 2.5. Wow, I had released my third one in 2020.
Right. Okay. Got you. Yeah. Oh, okay. So,
yeah.
So the first, so bringing an album out is a massive undertaking. It's a lot of work. It's bands don't usually do it until they're well established and they've got a massive fan base for it to be. It's a lot of content to put out there at once. You know what I mean? And then maybe in a couple of weeks it'll fizzle out and then you've got to kind of start again. That's why bands tend to do singles these days, I think, just to keep things trickling out and have a constant listening fan base out there. But talk me through these plaques then. So how does somebody so young have a first album and then start getting all these streams? What process did you go through to create this?
Well, so for the first album, I kind of just made it out of kind of jokes. Like I had finished my first year of high school and summer had come around and I was like, what if I hadn't touched music, anything related in a while. Yeah. So I was like, let me try again and let me see where I'm at with my skills and just let me see what happens if I mess around for a bit. So I did in like 3 months, I did the first album and I didn't do much for that record. It was
just like a home recording type thing or in a studio?
Sorry, what was that?
Was it like a home recorded thing or was it in a studio?
Yeah, like all I had was my laptop and these Beats headphones that I don't have anymore. They broke last year when I was making this latest album. But I had that and I would use the mic that was built into the headphone and I would go in my closet and I would just record in the closet because the acoustics were better in there.
Yeah.
And I did that for the whole summer that year. This was 2019, I believe. And honestly, that album, it's not good. I would say my first 3 albums are not good. You can listen to them and they're like objectively like the production is somewhat there, but you can't really understand what I'm saying because I didn't intend for the albums to be serious at all. But they were in a way kind of, you could target a specific audience with it who liked kind of weird music like that. So I think that's why they did somewhat well. But same thing with that. I would write to blogs. I would be like, it's very weird and different and it's not very conventional. But same process. I would just write to blogs, be like, hear me out. And those first 3 did pretty well. But this 4th album of mine, I was actually talking about this with my friends last night when it came out. But I was like, this actually feels like my first real album because the content is very much there. The lyrics are there. The production is there. And it's very much real music that objectively people could say is very good. And so I would honestly classify like this 4th album of mine as my first real album because it actually feels like I have something to say in terms of content this time around.
Yeah. So how did you, so the streams, just looking behind you there, what's that, 50,000, 500,000?
Yeah.
So how does somebody get that many streams being so new to it and having an album that's, could do with a bit of work, it's just new stuff. It's something you've done in your cupboard.
Yeah.
How do you get round to finding that kind of audience, that like a massive audience like that? How do you do it?
Yeah. So I did for specifically the third album I did in 2020. I would say that
Mm,
was the biggest of the first three.
mm,
Up until that point, everything was very much slower.
yeah.
Um, but I did a couple remixes with artists that were actually I went to high school with.
Mm,
So that definitely helped. I got some audience from them.
yeah.
I also did a couple video projects for the third album. I had kind of released this documentary of sorts, kind of documenting how I made it. So there was
Mm,
this video accompaniment with the music, and those two went hand in hand. And I think that kind of helped grow the music a bit. And this all like this kind of it didn't happen overnight at all. This is an
yeah.
accumulation
Yeah.
of like
Sure.
5 years.
But still, it's a big achievement for 5 years
It's a
being a
big,
new artist.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm very proud of it, very much so. Um, and definitely like whatever blogs did reach out to me, it wasn't a lot. Um,
Mm,
but they did help me and they would playlist the music and write about it, even though it was very much kind of anyone I had played my old music to, they'd be like, it's like very much like rave music or something. Like
yeah.
it's good, but it's not like something you would want to listen to like if you're like just laying back or something.
Yeah.
Like it's something you want to play like at a very loud party. Um but yeah, it was kind of very niche. So I think I was reaching a very specific audience, but not something that generally everybody would like.
Mm. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by your journey. It's not a normal journey that I see out there. So I'm a bit of a nosy bastard. So that's why I want to get to the nuts and bolts of physically
Yeah.
how that can happen. So you did it through collaboration. That's a great idea. I see loads of bands and artists that get a lot from collaborating with other people and
Yeah.
connecting with their audience straight away. It's quite a quick and clean way of getting a new audience. That's good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
who makes these plaques then? Who are these from?
These are from this this lady. So whenever I had reached these
Mm,
achievements, obviously I'm independent, I'm not signed.
yeah.
So the usually if you have a label, you would just have these made for you. You don't have to do
Mm,
anything.
yeah.
But once I had reached these achievements,
Yeah.
I was like, I want to get something to commemorate
Oh, nice.
these numbers.
Yeah.
And so I had found this lady. She works for a company. I can't remember the name of the company. I think it's
Yeah.
uh I can't remember the name off the
It's
top of my
okay.
head, but she works for this company.
Yeah.
So I had done some research on how to get like these special plaques made.
Yeah.
And I kind of just went back and forth with her. I was like, hey, I have these achievements. Like I showed her my Spotify. I was like, these are my numbers.
Nice.
Um, can something be made? And she was like, yeah, like you can completely customize it,
Mm,
and do it however you want. So I, would send her mock-ups and stuff. And so we got it made. It obviously came out of my pocket.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think it's something that, it's very memorable and it's something
Yeah.
that should be commemorated. So I was like, why not? I'll get them for my room.
So what are you going to do when you get to 1 million then? Or have you got there yet?
The million, I'm gonna get
How
the
close
biggest
are
one
you?
out of all of these.
Okay.
I'm gonna get the one that's the size of all three of these combined.
Oh, right. Okay. Fair enough.
I don't know if I'll have room, but I'll have to put it
I was
somewhere.
going to say, how big's your house?
It's decently sized. My room the
Yeah.
walls are getting a little full,
Yes.
so
Fair enough.
I don't know if I'm gonna have much space.
Fair enough. Fair
I
enough.
have to put them somewhere.
So what is you mentioned that you reached out to a few blogs of were they American blogs type thing like music?
They were mixed, so they were actually like how I found you,
Yeah.
same way.
Mm,
Um, so it was a mix of American blogs, and there were a lot of European
yeah.
countries as well. So
What
it was pretty global. I wouldn't say it was specifically
yeah.
American.
What are the American? I'm just being nosy as a magazine owner. RGM's
Yeah, yeah,
my
yeah.
baby. What are the magazines like in America? Are they supportive of new artists, or do they need you to have a bit of clout, or how does it work over there?
There, I would say, opposed to overseas, it is a little bit kind of just whatever's going to gain traction,
Mm,
as a lot of things are with, music these days.
mm,
And they're kind of willing to just, give momentum to something that already has it going, but not really seeing if there's real art out there.
Yeah.
I saw this tweet the other day that was talking about um how like simple it is. You can make something so simple and even
Mm.
borderline not good, but it could blow up and people are just going to start writing about it and everything. But real, actual good music that someone is trying so hard to make, like that barely gets any attention.
Yeah.
So I would say it's definitely targeted just a little bit toward what is already doing well and not really seeking out good art. That's something that I noticed a lot.
Well, it's like you're a magazine owner. Everybody wants views. They want people clicking on your website and
Yeah,
and
true.
all that kind of stuff. But for at RGM, we've always, I've been a musician for years. Always been at grassroots. There's
Yeah.
always a place at RGM for new people starting, and we do mix it up with the big boys. But I think we've got a nice blend of having the big boys at the big festivals, and the people at grassroots where I enjoy the most. Really, I find the more interesting people that are just
Yeah.
about that are on the journey rather than they've already got there. I just find that part of the industry, I still find it fascinating, and that's what this podcast's all about, really. Just
Yeah.
meeting
Yeah.
new people and hearing about everybody's journey, because it's different for everybody.
It's different. Yeah,
There's no right
exactly.
way or wrong way of going about this
Of
thing,
doing
is there?
going about it. Yeah.
So, what kind of
Exactly.
frustrations have you had with the industry then?
Um, Honestly, it's just hard. It's just really hard to
Yeah,
get people to listen to it, especially when you're on your own. Like
yeah,
I don't have a manager. I don't have a label.
yeah,
Um, I don't have like any kind of special resources. Like whatever I have done, it's been on my own.
yeah.
So just honestly, just getting the word out there it's hard sometimes, but
Well, what is it?
um,
What is a label these days, though?
yeah,
There's no,
like
there's no,
it's
there's hardly no money in the music industry, and record labels don't give money away at all.
yeah, no, they
You might get a couple of grand off one, and that's like amazing. It goes towards your recording costs, but
yeah.
after that, you've shit it because they've got no money to promote your
Yeah.
music after
If
that
you don't
anyway.
give
So
the advance back, you're screwed at that
yeah.
point.
Well, they're not going to put any more money into your promotion and that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
what's the point if they're not going to promote it anyway?
Yeah.
So it is a really difficult industry, and
Yeah. Yeah. It's
technology's
frustrating.
technology's made it easier, hasn't it, for people to do it
Yeah.
themselves, and
Yeah.
it sounds like you're having a good time doing it yourself as well. So do
Yeah.
you need those other people?
Yeah. I've done some work. It's paid
Yeah,
off a little bit.
yeah, good on you. Well, what, just a bit of part-time work as well, just to help you finance these things.
Yeah, so I've my parents are the best. So for this album, my mom has
Mm,
been helping me a lot, which
wow.
I'm grateful for.
Yeah,
Um, they've been both my parents, they've been really enjoying the music and
yeah,
whenever I had told them a couple months back, they were like, "We're gonna help you no matter what. Like we will help you in everything for this one."
mm,
With my first three, I was on my own because obviously I hadn't
yeah,
told anyone.
yeah,
So that was really tough. I would just save my money for like a whole year and
yeah.
just finance whatever I could to get the word out.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, I'm lucky enough to where, I have my parents' support in this. Obviously, music is actually something, it's not something I want. Uh, I'm not planning to do as a full-time career. I'm still in school.
yeah.
I want to be a doctor. This is something that I actually
Okay.
I want to keep always on the side with me and um kind of
Yeah,
just carry it with me throughout the rest of my life.
yeah.
So
So this new album, then we've had it on RGM all over the socials this week. How did you find our review? Just out of interest, and be honest.
like about the podcast and stuff.
No, about the album review that we did.
Oh, how did I think of it?
Yeah.
Yes, it was very good. I enjoyed it.
Oh, good.
I was actually the first one that I got, so I
Right.
made me
Okay.
really happy that the first impressions were really good. I
Yeah.
sent it to all my friends and family, and they
Oh,
really
nice.
enjoyed it as well.
Yeah. Oh,
I
nice one.
appreciated it. Thank you. You guys had really good things to say about it. It
Yeah.
left me with a good feeling for the rest of the week, for sure.
Oh, that's nice to know. That's good to know. That's good to know. So this new album then feels like the first proper album, then, really.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, talk us through the new album then. Share your thoughts and feelings and how it got made, and tell us all about it.
Yeah. So, I started making it 3 years back. not too long after I had released that third album. Um, and this is the longest gap I've taken between recording a project. And at first I had no idea what I wanted to say. I would kind of just mess around and I would make beats and but I didn't know what the exact message was going to be. Yeah. And then slowly over time, as time was passing by, as I was kind of producing and writing, I was constantly writing about this theme of things that I had honestly like suppressed for a really long time, or things that I had wanted to talk about but never did. And that was like a repeating theme that I was seeing in the writing. And so
what were you suppressing?
It was so many things. It was like the moving thing. It was like it was how I felt about myself and my relationships with people, how I get so frustrated about microanalyzing that, and why am I such an overshare? Why am I such an overthinker? And getting frustrated with that. Liking people and like being open about that for the first time, and not even saying anything about that. Everything was going into the music, and also just like the album has experiences of my own and also like inspiration from other people that I know. So it's honest, all the collection of music that I had by the time the album was finished, it was like emotions you don't talk about or that you do not feel comfortable talking about, and that uncomfortable feeling that you kind of get. So that's why I had eventually named it Inside Out, because it's just about feeling those emotions and having those thoughts that you feel for the first time and that are really confusing, and sometimes you don't know how to navigate. Like mostly, if you go from adolescent to young adult, but honestly you can feel at any point in your life. Like it doesn't matter how old you are.
No, you're definitely right. A few things ring true with myself there, particularly the overthinking stuff. It can be a bit of a curse, can't it? You just do your own editing.
It sucks. So that was like a huge thing that I talked about in this album in multiple tracks.
So how do you know when the album's finished? How do you, as an overthinker, how do you think, right, that's it, done?
It was so hard. I submitted it 2 weeks ago. It was done for the past 3 months, but I let it go 2 weeks ago. But it was I don't think you actually ever know when it's done. If I listened to it front to back right now, I could tell you about 5 things that I would still want to change, but obviously I can't. I'm happy with it, but I'm such a perfectionist that I'm always going to nitpick things, and I think you're just going to have to let it go at some point. Like it's something you just have to force yourself to do.
I think a good way of thinking about it,
for myself at least,
I think a good way to think about it is it's not yours anymore. It's just out there.
It's not exactly. That's what I was telling myself when I submitted it. I said it's not mine, and it's just not.
Let it breathe. Just let it go, and just
exactly.
Let your baby go. I suppose, isn't it? It's one of those type of things.
Yeah, it was like actually the night before, like 2 nights ago, when it was about to come out in 24 hours. It was it was kind of making me sad because I was like, it's not gonna be mine anymore, and like these things, like I know exactly what these songs are about, and people are gonna make them their own, which I want them to do. But it was just like a crazy thought that it's been hidden for so long, and it's just no longer gonna be mine.
Oh, interesting. So what have you got coming up then in Ali World? What's the next thing? Album 9? Have you started thinking about
music
that yet?
Or in general?
Anything.
I mean, I would love to see where this album takes me. I'm gonna do my best and putting it out there and see where that takes me. But aside from that, I'm just gonna keep my normal routine. I love hanging out with my friends. My school's gonna start soon, so I'm gonna have to go back. I've been on summer break, and I'm gonna keep writing and keep seeing where that goes. Obviously I just released this, so I don't know if I'm gonna go right back into recording and stuff, but I'm always writing and getting ideas that I put in my notes app and that I put in my phone. So that's gonna keep on happening.
In studying to be a doctor, going to cramp your style a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, you can check out Ali's music. All you need to do is just check out the links within the description of this interview, ladies and gentlemen. If you're listening to on the podcast or watching us here on YouTube, just click the link in the description. It's got the RGM review of Ali's album there. It's class. I encourage you all to have a listen to it. I'll put a link to Ali's socials as well, so you can join him over there and just have a good time and follow him and say hello and all that kind of stuff. And what would you say to now you are open to talk about music with the people of YouTube, not just you're opening it up to the world there. What would you like to say to those people to before I let you get off and enjoy the rest of your day?
I hope everyone can give the album a listen, and I hope it's something you can relate to, or I hope it helps you go through something, and the music speaks with you. And give it a listen. I worked really hard on it, and it means a lot. But just make these songs your own. That's all I want.
Yeah, nice one. Well, so Ali, you're a young lad. You've got the world ahead of you. Keep going, mate. You're doing amazingly well. Just look at those numbers behind you. We wish you all the best here at RGM. And nice one, mate. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.